All right, we are ready for day 2 of our fall Aspen artwork. This is option 2 with the marker. So if you started out yesterday with your marker and you chose this option, you will have a background sheet and you'll have your trunks sheet. And so my first step here is going to be cutting out my trunks. And you're going to also notice, let me back up for a minute. I have glue, I have scissors, and I again have these 3 markers here. I am not going to need the water today. So I'm going to cut my trunks apart, and I am just cutting right on top of the black line here so I can have a little bit of a black edge. I'm going to put this aside. And so right here where 2 are together, I'm trying really hard to cut right in the middle of that black line. That way they both get to share a little bit of the dark edge. So just take your time with that. I'm just going to cut out a couple of these just so the video won't take too long. But I have 4 here ready, and I even have a little thin area. If I wanted to cut a little branch or something out of that to glue some branches on, I could. So I'm going to just go with these 2 to show you, putting this aside just in case. All right, so now I'm going to glue these down, and I try not to make it just perfectly spaced. You want it to look somewhat natural, so I'm going to put them maybe over a little to one side. So if you're using liquid glue, don't get carried away. Not too much. And I did try to flatten this out, but it wrinkled back up a bit. So maybe when the whole artwork is complete, we can put some heavy books or something on top to flatten it back out again. So a little glue on this one. All right, and now if I wanted to, I didn't do this on the original, but if you want some thicker branches, you could cut some out if you have an extra trunk, or if you can see I have that kind of thin area here, but I could cut maybe a branch. Let's see, here's what I'm going to do. I can make this into a couple. I'm just going to make this whole thin trunk. And then, or it could be just a really thin tree. Some of the younger ones obviously are smaller. So I could cut this into smaller trunks, and I'm just going to tuck that in. I would glue it down, but you can put some of those in. If I had curved this a little bit, it would look a little more natural. These are kind of straight as far as branches go, but you could do that if you want to. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull that out. But what I notice a lot about aspen trees is the branches tend to be kind of thin and dark, actually. And so I'm going to just go ahead and add these on with my marker. So you can add as many branches as you want. See, I don't want to try to make them look exactly the same. That would be kind of strange. So I could even pretend like this one is kind of in front of that one and let it come onto the trunk here. So as many branches as you would like. And try not to make it into any kind of a pattern. You don't want it to look like it's planned out. You want it to look very natural. And so I'm just going to add one more down here. Let's see. And then for the foliage, that's a little tricky with the marker. If it's really dark blue, you can see this one that I did before. I tried to keep it very, very light, and the leaves do show up. I just drew those on with markers. If you ended up with a really dark background, you can even color some leaves or some spaces on your scrap paper and cut those out and glue those on if you want. We're going to see how this works. And so I'm just going to kind of just put some little foliage in. And you can mix it up with the yellow and the orange. You could have green leaves if you want. You don't have to make this autumn. But I'm just going to kind of put some leaves in here. I'm not drawing each perfect leaf. I'm just kind of making just little marks like that. And so if you try really light and you think they're not showing up so well, you can even go in and do a little bit of outlining if you want, however you want that to look. But that's the basics of this one. If you want to add something else into your picture, you're welcome to do so. If you want to put a little bird sitting on the branch, anything creative that you would like to add would be fantastic. I cannot wait to see your artwork.